Talk Radio being on time ahead of itself. Sunday, 2 a.m. We'll give you a little bit more light. It's daylight saving time. We want all our listeners to tell their friends and everybody and say that, hey, the daylight will be sooner. This is MC Richardson, your host and moderator for Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City, which is 5 o'clock in Kansas City, the Midwest, and 6 o'clock on the East Coast, which we're very happy to have a guest. And if you go back to legendary James Brown saying, it's a man's world, but they said it wouldn't be possible without a boy or a girl. Well, we have a man and a woman who are special guests today. We're also, this is Women's History Month, and we do have Ms. Lauren Hamilton, who is also the at-large board member for the United Minority Media Association in North Carolina. She lives in Raleigh. And then we have a legendary author, Mr. Vincent Alexander, who is an at-large board member for the state of Missouri. So we got two dynamic people on our show today. And before we get into that, we're speaking of legendary and remembrance. We also want everyone to pray for a person who's under a critical illness, Mrs. Annetta Vertrees. And then we also have one of our people's son who they haven't gotten back with me, whether it was the Navy or the Army, but he's graduated to being a second lieutenant. So congratulations on that. And today we'll just get started. And since this is Ladies' Month or Women's Month, we might start out with Miss Lauren Hamilton. Welcome to Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City. Give the people an idea, who is Lauren Hamilton and what does she do? Why is what she does is essential in all our lives? Lauren?
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Lauren Hamilton. I do a lot of things. I am a serial entrepreneur. I own a tax business, which is very essential to everyone because everyone has to do taxes. I also help others become tax preparers. I help people legitimize their businesses with Business in the Box, which is really good because it gives you everything you need to start up your business, prepare you for starting your business credit. I help people refer them over to get mortgage loans. I do a lot. We also have, under the umbrella where I work under, One Stop Taxes, we also have real estate, and it's called Rich University as well. So we have a little bit of everything under that umbrella with helping everyone get to where they want to be. And due to COVID, a lot of people needed extra income, and it really helped to do that.
Well, let me ask you this. Will you guys go to daylight saving time at 2 a.m. your time Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got Missouri and we got Raleigh, North Carolina. And how is the weather there today?
It's a little cool today.
Okay. And I'm quite sure you like North Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to have another person. We're going to interact throughout this show, which it goes by so quickly. It's 5 to 6 Central Standard Time, and it's 6 to 7 Eastern Time. So this person I've been knowing for quite some time. I've been knowing both of them quite some time. Mr. Vincent Alexander, he's an author. He's put on all kind of book affairs here in Kansas and throughout the nation. So allow us, and we will allow you, Mr. Alexander, to tell the people about yourself. And recently you just published another book, so let's talk about that now.
Okay, well, Vincent Alexander, yeah, Richard, you already did it wrong.
I do? No, not me. Go ahead.
But I'm a nationally published author. I do murder mystery books, children's books, and poetry. But murder mystery is my genre.
Well, speaking of that,
I will live it over 10 years.
Okay, speaking of that, you said doing all that mystery and all that. What are your thoughts, and also, Miss Hamilton, on what is happening over in Russia?
You know, it's a crying shame that a person can bomb their own people. That's crushing to me. Beyond, my recognition.
Oh, I know you got more to say than that.
Well, war, to me, war is nothing. It's a lose-lose situation in war. And so many people are suffering and displaced. And it comes, which is kind of selfish, but it comes back on the United States because, we're putting out so many billions of dollars of taxpayers' money, which I'm all for, helping other countries and stuff like that. But it's so costly. It's a revenue generated situation.
Ms. Hamilton, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not really sure. I try to stick over to doing what I do, the taxes and wholesaling. Other than that, I don't really get into all of that.
I have been having the pleasure of being featured in several books, and one by Mr. Vincent Alexander, which, what was the name of that book? And just tell the people in that industry, because at one time during the slavery era, they didn't want, we'll say, black folks to learn how to read or write. And you have elevated this world with your authors and mostly African Americans. So by learning to read and write, you see how we can upgrade ourselves, and not business, family, whatever, but prior to. And I met people that they were held back from learning how to read and write because this would advance them too quickly to stay alive and being able to just live in this world.
Well, an educated person is a dangerous person. You just can't get everything over on them. You can't manipulate them.
I know we got more in that one. Anytime, Ms. Hamilton. Go ahead.
People that are illiterate are taken advantage of so often in the financial industry, in the social industry, in the business industry. It's really a crime.
I know that my family, immediate family, and kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, whatever, we have another person that really has enabled us to provide them with what we think is needed reading material, and that's Barnes & Noble bookstore. Throughout their lives, they have been able to, instead of getting the normal gifts and present like that, they get some educational tools, which is the books, to hopefully help them all type of it. You're talking about math, you're talking about history, you're talking about things that is very essential for one to achieve anything in today.
Well, it's really important for parents, especially African American, Afrocentric parents, to read with your children. Let literary symposium to help with the literacy. And we had 25 authors, nationally published authors, come in. Authors like Airdrome Dickey, Omar Tyree, Elan Harris, that will come in and promote reading and literacy in high schools and grade schools across America with the highest dropout rates. So we went to at least 10 different states, including Kansas City, New York, Texas, Chicago, New Orleans, Houston.
I remember one of your book fairs here in Kansas City, and I was very fortunate that you just took the time out and either scratched out or something to put my name and a positive paragraph or whatever about MC Richardson. What was the name of that particular book?
If Walls Could Talk. And what I did, I always give homage to people that are mentors and people that's trailblazers to me. Because you opened a lot of doors for me when I was writing and I first started out publishing, and with humor, introducing me to other media people. So that I was really impressed by your tenacity and your hard work that you put in, tirelessly putting in on a computer, typing up papers, sending out memos, and putting the organization together, organizing young people to keep spreading the news of our people. So that was really impacted me a lot. So, and which also rose my love for literacy.
If you just tune in, you're listening to a very important show. It's Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City, and that show has been taking place for at least 32 years. And in case you're wondering why is it Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City, that came from Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And then got it copyrighted, got it what they call a trademark, so no one, let me repeat, no one can come in and claim that name. But I'm also just want to know, since this is Women History Month, what are your thoughts on that, Lauren, and how has it benefited you and your kids?
We always go back and forth with learning and challenging each and every one of my children with history, understanding history, and how they can apply it as going forward in life. So we do a lot of educational. Once I figure out what they love, I always go there and find them educational things that go with what they love. Like if it's sports, about educational sports books of people that already been in their positions. Learning things like if they love math, they love science, we go and do things like that. And explain to them that anything you want, you can have it if you put your mind to it. So we do a lot of educational stuff, actually.
Well, let me ask you, when you say our children, our youth, how early should you start this?
As a baby, like the learning toys. I remember when my oldest, which is now 18, I used to buy him learning games. So everybody had video games, but he had a learning one. And it taught him his different things like math, different types of math, and so forth. So I started, he was like, I say 2 or 3.
What inspired you, Mr. Alex? Go ahead.
I started reading to my children when they're in their mother's womb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
music.
And then from then, they always saw me with every room they went to, a book was in that room. So, because I was reading constantly, doing research. And North Carolina's on my bucket list. I'll be going there this year because it's a corridor for slavery. North Carolina and South Carolina, one of the main shores that our people first came into.
Okay, I think, is that what we're talking about, the 1619 project?
Not familiar with that.
Okay, that's going to be part of the upcoming, well, in September, the 16th and the 17th, whereas the UMA, United Minority Media Association, will hold their Midwest Southeast Regional Conference in Kansas City at the Embassy Suite, and that is a topic that some people are familiar with, but if not, they will become familiar. We have some distinguished people on that panel to bring them up to date, plus have handouts. I know, Mr. Alexander, that you, when I came acquainted with you, I mean, you're already what they say a star in that business, and what you did for this city, Kansas City I'm speaking of, they put on these book fairs. I remember a young lady, and I got what the men say is very good looking, Fowlkes, Goldie Brooks, that she, if you're not familiar, she was in the TV showing, and
C. Michaela.
Right.
Sisters. She was program Sisters.
Okay. Well, now we're getting ready to lead to the one, Girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think you two can really not only elevate myself, but you can elevate our listeners, and I'm quite sure contact will be made when you go to North Carolina, especially when you hit Raleigh. We can get that information on how to communicate when you hit hit that particular state and town, okay? Because what we need is
place to go, places to see. I'm a history buff. I love learning. I love research, and then I turn around and implement that information into my books.
At any time, Lauren, we appreciate you saying some things so you might want to say or might want to know.
I know that how we discussed as going forward, being a part of United Minority Media Association, and my mic, which I used to be a part of, going and reaching out, for me to start reaching out to colleges and finding internships for the youth to go in, which I participated in as a teenager, going and doing internships during the summertime for things that they would like to get into as a career. So, and we're going to reach, all 50 states. I'll start going out to these colleges and going to the media stuff and asking what is it that we need done to make partnerships to be able to get our youth in there. So I think we have a lack in that right now within aid.
Right. I'll be more than happy to do a writing workshop when I come to town.
Okay, great. We can exchange information, because we can do something big. Because I do it's called Super Saturdays, and it is an educational thing for taxes to get people that never would think that this will be for them. Give them education on it and give them understanding. And we do a lot of different things for the community to reach out and add to it, put in positive. Come after this thing. You may not think that this is for you. Come and sit down and listen with me for a couple of hours, and we have refreshments. We do games and stuff like that, and to start doing business expos. Because I know, my mic used to do scholarships and reach out to the community, and colleges come out and allow children to come out and see what is available. Because a lot of people don't know what's available if they don't have the knowledge. So, the write would be awesome, because you have to write. You have to write for scholarships. So it was like a break-off room for writing that prepares them to write for their scholarships, because everybody's asking for a paper essay or something for that scholarship.
Yeah, and we have a lot of fun when we do it, and I've offspring quite a few different authors that have actually completed their work from the workshop. So it's a lot, and by the time we finish the workshop, they will have finished a novel together as a group for a book that they put together. Because as soon as they come in and say, well, we can't do this, I'm like, we can't, there's nothing we can with a positive T. Let's show you how to get started. And we go through it right there at the workshop. So they have a clear understanding of how to develop characters, plot, suspense, action, crisis, the rise and fall of an emotion, time, place, development, inserting the who, what, when, why, where, and how, so they can have complete understanding of their project.
In case you just tune in, we are celebrating Women's History Month, and a lot of people, even authors and writers, don't realize that this is also Black Press Month. So we try to cover all entities, because both are essential for our everyday lives. And we started we're very fortunate to have Mr. Lauren Hamilton and Mr. Vincent Alexander as our featured guests today. So we will let them continue, because it's all educational and something that if we don't know, we need to know and we need to learn, and then they will tell you the best way to get started and really complete it to get the best that will enhance you, not only yourself, but your family. Any one of you can continue. Thank you.
See, this is Ira, folks, with about human commerce, and I feel very honored, okay, to be talking to people in North Carolina, and especially to someone there that's very much, working with the community and writing, because I think one of the things that people have to understand, what you write today is history tomorrow, and we have a lot of stuff to tell about history. So right now, if you're writing a book, what would it be about? What would you guys write about?
One more time, I'm sorry.
If you're writing a book today, okay, that'll be over up 10 years from now, talking about what took place in the world right now, and what would be your main topic?
Right now, I think I'll talk on the psychological aspects of COVID on people. I'm a psychology major, so I'm seeing how it affects people in our everyday lives. Through church, I live in a condominium, so I see how it's affecting people in a negative way. But then it's spent that way too. When you watch television, you're only given like just negative information. It's very seldom anything positive coming off of it. So when you look at it, it's putting you in a depressive state. And when you're in a depressive state, it tends to lead toward negative alternatives and negative lifestyle. It's like doom and gloom. And watching it all the time, it's like sitting down watching Ukraine all day on CNN. It's depressing. There's no light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, not on CNN, on Fox News, on US, on all the stations, and on the newspapers, you're constantly being bombarded with it, So, what kind of effect do you think would have?
Well, that's sales. It's sales.
Yeah.
So, whatever is going to pique the person's interest, that's what they're. Just look at the news. It's like the worst stories are the first stories. The shocks and horrific stuff comes up first. And then you get some weather then you get some sports. So it's like it's what's going to get the eye glued to the see what's going to grab your attention.
Okay, Mr. Long, what would you write about?
I would look at positive aspects of how we're helping the people that are being tormented by their own dictators, what we would call presidents, their own leaders. Is how do you process that? And he's targeting hospitals and apartment complexes, people that are defenseless, that are getting bombarded with airstrikes. A person in a hospital can't hurt you.
Well, I was right about it, because I keep talking about the youth, because that's very important to me, because a youth becomes an adult. Is I will write about being able to come adversity and also learning how to cope. Because this new generation has gone through a lot more than what I remember going through as a child. And they don't understand coping. They don't understand how to get past where they are, or understand that just because something happens doesn't mean that you stop there. Young mothers, kids in sports, all of that. Just to write about how to keep going no matter what. And your environment doesn't make you who you are.
Okay, I know one of the things, that Mr. Alexander just highlighted was, and I actually we all feel the same way. If you look at TV or watch the news and anything, you don't think nothing else is going on in the entire world, and we still living. Come out of COVID right now, and we can, like Mr. Alexander said, a history book about how we got out of it, so how we got over to make it to this point would be definitely something that we needed, and also, even as we talk about what's going on in our government, that's not being discussed. What's going on in our local and city government, but our districts, when we map it about states and our system, So there's so much going on, that's just been lost totally while we just fixate on just one thing. The life still goes on.
Absolutely, I agree. And it's a lot of mental health, too, with all of those things, too. That's very important, that I feel like the Black community feels is taboo with getting assistance with the mental health. And if we address those mental issues, we could help a lot of people.
I do a show every year to myself from 1 to 3. And in our program today, Scott, can you help me out here? We spoke very little, much we could about, not to talk about the Russia, but things that's going on in our community. Like we all know, this is, Women History Month. And the theme of my show today was how we can honor our women. Most men, speaking for myself, and I know MC also, we talk about all the time, that how much women have been a part of our lives, and we don't tell them thank you enough. We all got mothers, fathers, mothers, daughters, grandkids, granddaughters, all kinds of people, women.
Mr. Ira, could you arrange to speak a little louder, please?
Okay, I'm sorry, Scott. Hold on a second here. We can make that real soon. Okay, but we don't talk about how women doesn't thank you enough, especially this month. And women really dominate our world, and we don't appreciate it as men. We don't. But they are, what make our whole world goes. And even in this war stuff, we see women now stepping up more so than the men do.
But a lot of times we have to also take into account women are the cradle of the world. They really have sustained and have been the strength of our nation.
Yes.
And but women are producing some men that are really in society as a whole has just dehumanized the male character, and they're to the point where they're feminizing him. If you look at commercials and TV shows, it's like everything that you're saying is like demasculating.
Yes.
And it's that's not a good thing. So we have to talk to our children and say, look, this is cool, this is not cool. Be who you are, but at the same time, sometimes you have to say you got to man up. You have to be the lead. And a lot of times in our past, the women had to take, because men were so harshly treated by the masters, that women had to take the male role because they were killed and hunted down, and women were left to keep the family together. So which taught a lot of men to take flight instead of fighting. And a lot of mothers were like, well, hey, I don't want that to happen to you, so just ease back. Don't get aggressive. To protect the child. But I see a lot of sisters coming in to save the day for brothers and let brothers stand on their own 2 feet. And we can't continue that to happen. Sometimes a brother needs to take a fall or two in order to learn how to get up and try again.
Miss Hamilton, how do you as a woman feel about what Mr. Alexander just said?
I agree. I'm a single mother of 3 boys, so I definitely agree. Because, like, with my boys, I agree on the behalf of allowing them to become men and not always trying to give them a crutch. Because if you have a crutch, you're not going to stand. And I always say that you have to provide. A man is going to provide. A man is going to not always encounter women and leave them hanging. How about you support them? And if it's not a relationship there, but if you see a woman that's struggling, go help her. So I definitely agree with me having to raise boys by myself, but allow them sometimes to understand that we stand behind you, but we need you to stand up to be the man.
I tell my son all the time, hey, if you see a neighbor out there trying to take the trash out, run up there and help her out. Don't let her struggle with that. At least lift the lid up for her. Don't just sit there and watch her struggling. And it's raining outside, so get on out there, dude.
But I think that we've had a lot of lack of that. Because now you have a lot of more disrespect of elders and of women. But
you had some sisters that also, like, I'm happy I was raised to open the door. Even when my kids were like 2 years old, my girl, I'd hold the door open for her. And some ladies now, you open the door, I can get that for myself. Being independent. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, there's too
much. That's what I call the red ox. It was a big old heavy door. And the lady said, well, I got it. So I stepped back. I said, okay. So she tried to open the door came in on it and kind of almost knocked her over. I said, I was just trying to help you now. It is heavy.
Alexander, you made a point there, that I have experienced, and I got 3 daughters, okay, and I raised them, to be independent, and they're all happily married now, but their husband had to be real men, okay. So for them to be, I'm 6'4", so they didn't, and I'm also their wife's father, and they want a man, okay, to become to, or they're not needing, they want a man to be a man, and my oldest, my second daughter, she just got married, and she's almost 45 years old. She said, Daddy, I couldn't find a man out here that's gonna be a real man. You know, and that's sometimes a lot of
Well, sometimes you have to make a man be a man. You know, like I told one time, I said a guy could just come and just honk his horn, and my daughter run out to the car. I said, you had to come in and meet me. You know, come in and get her, greet me, because I'm allowing her to be in your care. So if something happens, you're the person I'm coming looking for. So as long as we had that understanding, you know, we could. But my daughters now, they like, well, Dad, you know, he didn't do what I saw you doing, you know, Mom. You know, and so I'm like, so that was unattractive to me. And never put your hand on my daughter.
Oh, no.
I'm like, excuse me. I said, I used to work for Southwest, and this guy pushed my daughter. She was in Atlanta. I was living in Houston. I was at her door the next day knocking her. Dan, what you doing here? Did you say somebody pushed you? I said, no, I'm just putting it there right now.
You do not touch the women in my family under no circumstances. My mother, my daughters, and any women in my sisters. I only had one. I always knew that if you touch, you know, and they would tell the young men, my daddy don't play that.
Yeah. Man, I'm from a family of 15. I have 9 brothers and 5 sisters. So dudes would have it rough with our family. When they come through to meet us, they see all the men, and the men checking them out, you know, trying to see if they man up, and we ask them questions. And what we do, we indoctrinate a person through dominoes.
Okay.
If you can't hold your own, if you talk a lot of trash at dominoes, if you can't hold your own, you know, you pretty much you saying that this dude is weak, you know.
Alexander, I think as we had this conversation, we are seeing that type of thing fade more away, because one thing the pandemic has done, okay, is taking that away from us of being in groups, of having a table game where we all get around the table and have that type of discussion, you know. And it's a game, but you have a bonding effect that you just mentioned that goes into that.
Well, strategy, and that's how we handle family business. You talk about everything that's going on, how everybody's doing. You know, if somebody's slacking, then give it advice. Well, this you should do. You know, where you hurting at? How you get in that situation? Well, how can we avoid getting in that situation again? What's going on? And as a parent, you're like, if your child's having a situation where, you know, well, Dad, this is going wrong, this is going wrong. Well, have y'all talked about it? Because I'm not a big promoter of getting divorced. I'm like, you know, y'all need to sit down and work it out. At some point, one of y'all got to get mature. A lot of times, whatever the difference is, it's not that big of a deal. It always goes back to maturity.
And how to deal with the situation.
You can't be right all the time.
Ms. Hamilton, with your boys, okay, what is the most challenging thing for you as a mother? As you said, you've been a writer, you said you've been a person in the community. I know they all asking advice. Well, what is the most advice you do to give to their friends about how they...
Well, being a woman, I admire a woman because it's scary at this point with police brutality and everything. Every time they walk out the door, it's just with my son, it's just, yeah, I pray for him constantly. I'm like, you have to watch how you react, and don't react. Respond to everything. If you respond, then you're thinking. So never just react. Never use anger as a resource.
Yeah, I teach my boys that. I teach them that when you react, you give people power over you. So how you react to something, sometimes saying nothing means a lot. Because no one can interact with you if you're not responding to it. So
people learn from your actions too. They learn from how you respond to things. You know, this is how you handle it. You know, instead of escalating, if you de-escalate.
Correct.
It resolves a lot of problems.
And if they take accountability when they're wrong, then that helps us as well and know how to handle a situation, control the situation. Because a person that can control themselves is a powerful person. And where I find it challenging is like, or what I would tell a single mother, get support. Get a support system. If you don't have a support system, it's really hard. And hope figures that are positive, because there is a balance. A child needs a mother and a father.
Yeah, and knowing your friends from your associates, and women getting positive influences in their son's life. Because a lot of times it's who you introduce these kids to. So you know, you have to be diligent. Because every male is not a man, and if you introduce a half man to your child, your child might look up to this person for any one reason. Maybe he's a good athlete, or he's charming, or debonair, or a good dresser, or has money and power, but as a person, he's a terrible person. And you introduce that into your child's life, your child will start leaning toward that way. And you have to say, wait a minute, hold up, time out. I'm your mom. You know, and he be like, well, okay, but you brought him into the house, Mom. You know what I'm saying? So I think if you cool with him, I'm gonna be cool with him.
But I think also somebody that's consistent. Consistency plays a big part as well. You can't come in and out of a child's life that disrupts them in whatever stage or cognitive stage that they are at that moment.
You know, one of the things, okay, that I know that I always, you know, spoke from my girls is that, and I was dating, you know, when I was single for a while, that I see a lot of women sometimes want to, with their kids, especially their daughters, they want to be like their friends and not be like their mother.
Mm-hmm.
There's a thin line, you know, between, the daughter calling the mother by her first name, you know, on a first name basis and stuff, you know. And in fact, my sister was dead now, and my niece also, but they was on a first name basis, and I was there. That don't sound like to me, okay, her calling Eugene, and you just calling her Tanya, because, you know, you the mother, you the daughter, and later on in life, okay, there became a problem, okay. But that's how you raise the kids, and grow up, they're going to do the same, they do the same thing.
Yeah, well, with me, it's like, you know, a lot of times I would end up being disciplinarian, so it was, and I would have to remind the child, you know, I'm your parent, I'm not your friend.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, my thing is to raise you, present you for the things that I went through that I know that are going to cause you problems later.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm telling you, I'm the first person that loved you. So, you know, understand that. So, and I'll be the last person that loves you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for life. You know, when I had you, that I just signed up for life.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you anything that's gonna hurt you. I'm gonna be there for you if it's for you. If it's for your good.
Okay,
Sometimes I might have to pray on it for a while, but you know, I'm.
Okay, Miss Hamilton, what has been some of the most challenges you were having 3 sons to raise for you in your life? You know, I know we had changed the subject, okay, but I know this, being a mother, you know, and being a friend also, and also being a disparent also in their lives. How they, you know, and we honor you for that, by the way. But this year, Women History Month.
I believe one of my grandfathers told me a long time ago that you have to learn each child for who they are. That plays a big part. Learning each child and knowing that you can't treat each child the same.
Yeah, and you have to give each their own individual time.
But I have these daughters, and what you just said there, my number one daughter, which is, my oldest, and they all look at her, okay, the girls do, have a way of looking from the oldest to the youngest, okay, and they kind of have, part in position that way, but I'm glad with boys, how is that any more difficult than with girls?
I think it's the same because I have a daughter as well. So like you have to balance that, and you have to watch companies they keep.
Yes.
Because that plays a big role. I know someone said that earlier about who they are around, how they act, because they learn more from friends than they do from in home. Well, they learn in home, but when they go outside of the home, it's a different whole arena of things that they are encountering. So, boys, they're different to me because I'm a woman. So, understanding like their mindset is harder as a single mom to understand because I don't understand fully how they may feel about something. I can only give them from the perspective of a woman's perspective, and that's when your support system comes in play because then you need positive that can understand to say, oh, we've been through this, so this is what we try to do and explain like from their perspective what they did in that moment.
Ms. Hamilton, sometimes, I applaud you for having 3 sons and being there because it's a lot of times a thankless job because kids as a whole, they don't look at being a parent as until they become a parent. They're like, damn, was I like that? I said, yeah, you exactly like that. We have grandkids. They feel like you in favor of the grandkids all the time. So, well, you used to do the same thing. I didn't treat you like that. We used to do it. I would sit down and explain to you. It's alternate ways of doing it. How else could you have done that? And you have to listen to the child, have a conversation with the child, say, you know what? Well, I have feelings too. And Dad can hurt. You can hurt Dad's feelings by your actions or what you say or by a little smirk or a little attitude. And I ain't gonna backhand you, but we gonna have this conversation. That didn't feel good to me. Yeah. Well, my dad was just pop.
Well, let me ask both of you this question, okay? How has humor impacted your lives? Since you met Mr. Richardson, okay, and he's been an intimate part of, hopefully, in what you're doing in the media world. How has humor impacted you when you met Ms. Hamilton? I have to let you go first. What do you say?
It impacted me. I got to experience a lot of different things as a child or as a Mamite member that maybe others didn't get to experience. Like I said, the internship in the summer, learning different things about different career paths I can go, knowing that to go look for scholarships where I may have not known, to go look certain places for scholarships and always go and apply yourself, go meet those people. Because they had, in my sessions as a youth, we would have people come out and you could speak to those people. They give you guidance on just like resumes or when you get in the work field, this is what you prepare for. Just so many different opportunities, and even as an adult, meeting different people in different places. Because connection is everything. Making connections is a big thing in the business world. If you have somebody, you may encounter somebody that needs this, and that, and if you don't have the right people, you're like, well, I don't know. But if you reach out and talk to people and meet new people that are business minded, it helps. Helps so much.
Okay, Mr. Alexander.
Well, it gives you facial recognition, and you meet quite a few very important people in the business world. And like LC, you have events, and a lot of out of like Harry Belafonte and interview these people, one thing or another, and you really get to touch them and see who they really are and how far they've come. It wasn't always an easy road, which a lot of things as an author, people think that you just, write a book and all of a sudden, you're famous. But it's a whole lot of hard work that goes into it before and after this book, and getting published and going through the business of publishing, which is real shady, like the movie industry and the recording industry. It's real shady. So you really have to do your homework.
Very cutthroat.
Well, not just cutthroat. They cut your throat, your wrists, your ankles, your Achilles. You don't stop cutting. It's like it's a razor blade world. So the person got razor blades on the end of two shoestrings. They just swinging at you. Wow. So you constantly dodging. And then you got some people that's for you and some people that try to take advantage of it. But you have to really watch. You have people like, what? I'll make you a household name. I'm like, well, I could actually reach over the table and slap you to become a household name.
Okay, what's a household name?
Well, you want quick access. You don't work for it. You want a quick access to something. Like when I work with the film industry, and Matthew knows, Beyonce's dad was like, well, you know what? You sign with me, I can make you a household name. I said, sir, to be honest with you, I'm not trying to get my record on the radio. I said, I can reach over the table and slap it, and I'll become a household word quick. That's due to smack Beyonce's daddy. So my thing is, let's talk business. I'm not trying to get my record on the radio. I'm trying to get my movie made.
So I guess if we know something, humor has allowed you guys to, create new relationships that have been beneficial to you in your careers. And like even today, okay, us meeting together via the radio here on Guess Who Come to Kansas City.
And they'll advise you too. You have a lot of members that have a lot of influence, so they'll advise you on things. I'm always going back to people saying, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Because you have a lot of human members that know a lot of people in the movie industry doing private film. So I would go back to them when I was working on my film project and refer to them and say, what do you think about it? They actually hooked me up with the group. You're a young man here. With the SAG organization, I'm sorry. Screen Actors Guild. They hooked me up with the Screen Actors Guild because I had to have a Screen Actors Guild rep on the set when we shot our short film.
Oh, now, by the way, you didn't tell us about that short film. What was it?
It's Black Rain.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can see it on YouTube. Just go to Vince Alexander with Black Rain.
Well, why don't you
see it? And we took second place in the International Film Festival in L.A. When I was living in Houston. So a lot of people in L.A. were kind of upset with me because I lived in Houston, but I was flying out to L.A. to shoot the film in Inglewood.
Okay.
So we took second place up there. How you gonna say it's connections? It's knowing people and talking and advertising. Yeah. And it is who you know. And then, my thing is writing, so a lot of independent film guys, they're working on their scripts. They'll come to me for advice. I'm like, okay, well, because I write, it is dialogue. So most of your stuff is dialogue because the camera shows the motion and stuff like that. So you got to have tight dialogue. So I would help them out. But then they will owe you favors. So you're trading favors.
Yes.
So they'll say, I know this great lighting person. I know this great sound script guy. I know this great makeup artist. Because they aren't getting a lot of work in LA. So when they find out they have a block projects, and I call it people with deferred dreams. So a person might have like 3 sons, and she can't get away the way she normally would. I would hire her, so I know I would get 150% from her to have the opportunity to put that on her resume and to get paid for a project.
You know, however, once again, we're reaching that closing hour, so we need to get out as much information as possibly can, and more importantly, how you can be reached and if you can utilize interns or volunteers to assist you with people who have an interest. Some people just want to know. But let's kind of wrap it up with that.
Okay. Well, I'm Vincent Alexandria. You can reach me at www.vincentalexandria.net, or just type my name into your phone or any search engine, and all my information will pop up.
Ms. Lauren? Lauren?
That's Alexandria, Alexandria.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I thought you were. Okay. How can they reach you?
You can reach me at my telephone. My business number is 919-438-1538.
That's 816.
No, it's 919.
Yeah, repeat that again, Miss Lauren.
That's 919-438-1538.
And you in Raleigh, North Carolina, right?
Correct.
Okay.
1538?
1538.
Okay.
And what is your business name?
It's Bossy Lady Taxes.
Bossy Lady Cactus?
Taxes.
She does tax work.
Taxes. Okay.
But do that again, because that will get us in trouble. We've had people, CPAs on the show. We'll have bankers on the show. We'll have people in the financial arena. And it's very essential, especially for black folks, but not limited to black folks. A lot of people, when they get started, they don't know how to get started, who to interact with, and that's where a CPA or people in accounting come to be in, as well as attorneys, to make sure your business is structured right, and both of them can enhance your skills, or we would think they could enhance your skills, and putting your plan together, your business plan.
Correct.
And of course, the people want to know down there in southern Missouri or east of Kansas City, and I know they cover a lot of places. And tell us about the Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce.
Well, we located here in St. Louis. Well, we have a whole state. We have offices now, and we put offices down in Haycock, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, working on the middle of the state. But right now, I can be contacted from Mr. M.C. Richardson. He's always trying to get a hold of me.
And as far as the United Minority Media Association, we celebrate our 47th year on August the 28th, 1974. And UMA is an acronym. This is the headquarters here in Kansas City, and you can be reached. We can be reached at 816-822-8866. The mobile number is 816-694-2273. And we're getting ready to update our website, which is UMMA HQ, which stands for our headquarters, KC #1.org. And we have different shows, and as we got another 2 weeks, 2 Saturdays of talking about women history, and then a lot of people, I will repeat or reiterate, this is also Black Press Month. And we had people in the printing business. We're very fortunate to have Mr. Alexander on the show today, and Mr. Lauren, and she's representing the East Coast, North Carolina, but not limited to, and you never know where you might find Vincent at. Vincent has worked through all different states and everything, and we're glad to have him back aboard. And Scott, since you back there operating this thing, tell people about you.
Well, always love to hear from people. Go to the Facebook page, FergusonUSAHotTalkRadio.com. You can go to the Twitch page with FergusonUSAHotTalkRadio.com, or the YouTube page, or you could join us on our website where you can find copies of all these shows at FergusonUSAHotTalkRadio.com.
Okay, what about the podcasters? What are they? What do they do? What do they represent?
Well, they can go to anything on RSS.com. They are the shows are all translated into format for podcasting, and we put them all up there, whether it's Spotify or wherever you need it.
And they also, what countries are they in?
Oh, we're broadcast all over the world, so we could be in Ireland, we could be in Brazil, we could be in Belgium, France. I haven't checked lately whether we're in a lot more countries, but we are growing all the time.
Kansas City, if that's not sufficient, be sure to tune in next week at the same time. If you federally know being federal people, that would be 1,700 to 1,800. But a person like me, it's from 5 to 6 Central Standard Time. So that's our show for today, and we hope that you continue to tell other listeners, be it on your Facebook, be it on your list, and with my other words, that